Can't overspend. Everybody set? Oh, man, sorry. John's out of the country chasing elephants in Kenya, I think. Good pastime. So I'll kick this off and with the usual rules that I'd rather you not refer to me as the chairman, just maybe your excellency or your eminence or something like that, but not chairman. Yeah. Your assholiness. How about meeting minutes from the last meeting? Anybody have any, have I read through it? Number one, anybody have any objections to entering those into the record and approving those?
So moved.
Second, thank you. And John didn't have, the only thing, subject matter I think John is intent on pursuing is that ongoing development of the coordination, collaboration and cooperation between the authority board and WSSA and the city. And hopefully getting to some point where we're all in agreement, hopefully all sitting in the same room to talk about how to activate that against the backdrop of some ongoing bids and operational elements and strategic elements of development of the whole campus. And I think we'll table that for the moment until he gets back and then talk about some substantive value we can place on that, particularly with CSU since they've led the charge on the build out of this whole thing as usual. But the city and trying to figure out how do all these pieces fit together so we don't have a duplication of effort going forward, especially coming to the stock show as busy as it's gonna get. Maybe. So that's, I don't think we have much of a chair report, so we'll move straight on to the CEO with Brad, if you could please.
Great. First slide is on facilities. We'll get an update in executive session today on the question center and hotel. They're super busy on commissioning all things livestock center. It is going well. If you get inside there, it looks done. I mean, it is absolutely amazing and cannot wait to start putting tens of thousands of people through there. That is coming. We are making progress on the Cup North parking structure. That deal is coming together. There's now a weekly project meeting around that and making some progress there. We are finishing up the CSU O&M operations and maintenance agreement. We are finishing up the stock show campus energy agreement right now. So lots happening there. On the events front, it has been an active couple of months. You can switch slides. Last 60 days, you can see what's happened and what's coming up over the next 60 days. That is busy, and that's what we want. We are tracking our events revenue goal this year, which was twice the number that our goal was last year that we didn't hit last year. It has turned on. It's taken 3 years of events, but it has turned on lots of repeat business. It's exciting to see. And just want to give a shout out to Joe and the entire events and operations team. There's muscle memory there and things are just clicking without a hitch. Multiple events going on at the same time. It's an exciting time on the campus. Here's just a couple of slides. Women in Tech were here, Great American Expo. The good news here is every time we have one of these events, lots of new people come to this campus for the first time and see it. That is really helpful. The community events, I'm gonna skip this because you're gonna cover all this in the deep dive today. That's our focus area. But just a couple of highlights from the Denver Days event. 6,000 people were here, 1,000 haircuts, 3,000 backpacks, 100+ different resource agencies and tents and tables, and it was just a huge success. The city puts this on, and all the city folks and folks at HRCP and other city agencies that drive that just did a fantastic job, and hope that's a partnership we can continue. Exciting things on our staffing and operations front this morning. Folks sitting off to my left, V Tran is our new campus client and exhibitor services manager. V, why don't you talk a little bit about your background and what you've been focused on so far?
My background is in architecture, so Brad and I share a common language. I've worked for a number of local museums, including History Colorado, the Children's Museum. And I have extensive experience with exhibitors and exhibits. So it's a natural transition to the campus campus, I'm sorry, it's such a long title, I have such a hard time. Client and Exhibitor Services Manager. I am super excited to be here. I think that Brad and Joe have put together such a wonderful team, and I feel super privileged to be included on it.
Welcome. One of the exciting things about having being our expertise on board is these client services. This is a significant revenue stream to us. So when you have these expos come in and there are hundreds of exhibitors, they need everything under the sun, whether simple stuff, power and lighting, but water and food and all kinds of things. And each one of those is an individual little mini event deal that has to be proposed, priced, cut, contracted, and then implemented in over 3 days, and then they're gone. And then next week, the next big expo comes in and there's another 200 to 300 of those deals that have to be cut. So that is what B is doing, and already talking with vendors who are signed up for events that'll be coming here starting the weekend after Stock Show ends in February. Shelby Dahlman is our new campus ticketing manager and all things ticketing. Welcome. And introduce yourself and tell folks what you do.
I'm Shelby, campus tickets manager, so I've got a lot of experience in the concert world. I came from Meow Wolf, AEG, and Access. I was on the City of Denver team, so I've been Red Rocks quite a bit. Happy to be here. We've got 3 different ticketing companies, so I've got some work ahead of me. But I'm here to make the process as smooth as possible for clients and everybody involved.
Another revenue stream for us too, on the ticketing front, because obviously we can negotiate facilities fees, we can negotiate a number of things through that ticketing process. Katie Lyle is here. She's our HR person. She has been invaluable to us as we've, been this sort of the end of this year and into 26 as we're building up our operations team. The work stream of just getting good people is a huge amount of work, obviously, for the posting and reviewing hundreds. The good news and the challenge is that we get literally hundreds of resumes submitted for all of our positions. We do have a great benefit of folks wanting to work here. And Katie's doing a great job. Katie, talk about where you came from and what you met.
Hi, good morning. I have a large background in hospitality, so human resources for few hotels. Now I'm currently working on the hiring and recruiting efforts along with some projects with Mitzi. So yeah, I'm very happy, very excited to be here.
Lastly, and certainly not least, Brandon Garcia. Brandon started here a couple months ago, 6 weeks ago. Is that right?
Couple months.
Yes. And he is our campus manager of security and parking. So all things within that. Brandon, talk about your background and what you're working on.
Sure. 23 years of law enforcement experience. I did 7 years military. Most recently, 5 years in corporate security. This opportunity came about. I absolutely had to be a part, and very thankful that I am there. So excited to make us a secure and fun, safe place.
Brandon's jumped right in. just brings a wealth of knowledge. She has been just great to have in the room. Any questions for anybody, or our new team members?
Welcome,
Lots happening on procurement front today. In executive session, we will review a number of procurements and then we will take an action item in public session. I'm not gonna go into those, Jessica will be here to describe the process for, that we went through. Some of you were involved in those procurements. We've got some procurements coming up as well, sort of the whole EMT world, event medics, snow removal, fleet vehicle sponsor, reverse ATM service, and sponsor. Somebody explain to me again how the reverse ATM thing works. How does it work?
Put in cash and they give you a card. Use that card.
Got it. Because all of our sales to be electronic.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no gambling involved. You can't make that one sort of.
Let's not go there, Brad. Let's not make it. Come on.
All right. That is all I have for us today. Happy to answer any questions.
A question on the events, all the events, I may have asked this before, are we doing a survey? With all the, various organizers or attendees afterward to see how their experience was and what they were saying, what we can do better, what we can do, continue to do well, how are we judging or how we judge all that?
We do not have a formal follow-up survey yet. I know there's.
Our goal is always to come back.
Yeah,
We want to come back and come back and come back. How do we know, we're doing the job we?
So I will tell you, I know that has been talked about. I don't know where that is in the process. We will have that. I don't actually know where that is in the
I
process.
just got a text message from one of our team members that said we're doing it via survey. So we're sending that to past clients to kind of gather that information, but we haven't collected a ton of information on it quite yet, so. It's in the works.
Good. On the way, we're gonna be better.
Yeah.
Good, anybody else, question? Partner reports, you're doing Mike's, or is he coming on board?
Mike's is in the packet.
Okay, so we don't.
The only in-person one is stock show.
He'll be
And
here.
we will kick that can until Wes gets here, because he had another meeting.
Panelist.
Okay,
We may have to slide the stock show one. Can we do the
yes, you,
committee reports?
do you wanna?
Been a long time since they trusted me to give a report.
And then both CSU and the city are in the report packets.
Gotcha, okay, good.
Oh, is that me? Sorry, I didn't know if it was me or Lori. Which one of us first?
You,
Me? All right, fantastic. Good morning, everyone. So I don't really have a huge update right now. Just wanted to remind everyone that we're gonna be having the Fiesta event for Tepeyac next month. I've already been chatting with Lori about that, so we'll probably have some more details pretty soon, but let me make sure I let you all know the correct date so we can save the date. Tepeyac's Legacy of Health event is gonna be on October 16th. That's gonna be an evening event from 5 PM until 9-ish. So if you all want to save that evening for us, we would love that. And we'll have some more details soon about how we're gonna work that out, the table, what we're gonna do with that. So stay posted. We'll get that one figured out for you shortly.
Good show. Lori?
No, not yet.
no, this is
All right.
Sandra and Caroline.
Yeah,
So I don't have any events, I just wanna mention that, since we didn't meet for, a whole month, I just wanted to, be thankful to everyone that supported, the Sabor Comunitario graduation, the staff show, National Western Center, CSU, and John, which is not here right now, because we were able to do the graduation, we were gonna cancel it. So we did it and we're very happy, and we started the third program of Sabor Comunitario, which is gonna be the last program that we're gonna be doing. So we're very excited right now. We're gonna start, we're gonna continue this Monday. And we're gonna be done with Sabor Comunitario in 6 weeks. And we started to do another more cultural focused community thing, which we're gonna do. Thank you.
thank you.
I attended the Sport Communitario graduation event, and it was just phenomenal, inspiring. Work that Sandra is leading there is life changing, powerful stuff. It's just so amazing. Thank you.
Any questions for anybody? Good show, Nicole and Nikki, crank it up.
Yeah, so through the month of August, we have posted 4.7 million of our 5.1 in operating revenue, which is 92% of our goal. We are forecasting, anticipating going over our revenue in some of the facilities areas and planning to hit in the events, as Brad mentioned. Event revenue was 1,531,000 or 78% of plan. And that's a 61% increase year over year. It was a little bit slower this month or in August with some billing, but we've already posted over 150,000 for the month of September, and we just did 4 more bills yesterday for 2026 items, so we're over $1 million at this point in 2026 bookings, which is great. Our total operating expenses are about 4.7 million as well. We're 72% of our plan, so we're pretty close to break even at this point from an operations perspective. However, I'll mention that we do have a lot of backloaded expenses related to LVC stand-up, so we'll start to see that trend, slow down a little bit, being ahead of plan. And then our total consolidated results, including district energy and EQC, we're showing a deficit of $1.5 million. Any questions on that?
What's the revenue mix look like thematically or percentage wise between trade shows versus concerts versus?
I don't have that number for you, but we should start. Yeah. We'll start.
Client services, I mean, the whole series of revenue streams, we could say after 5 days that we should start to see, diversifying that portfolio.
We haven't seen a ton of concerts yet especially in the booking for next year, like Brad said, the hunting show. We have a good
Strong on the
with
expos.
Marketplace, who's booked like 3 events so far for next year. So I wish Joe was here, he could talk more about it.
And the other one, big per cap, right, it's like, I don't know, we're getting per food and beverage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and parking is a big revenue stream.
Absolutely.
And the
Parking.
facilities piece is a stream. But in terms of I think you're talking specifically about the event mix itself. The concert piece is just starting to heat up. This is the expo folks book well in advance. The concert deals kind of come together as their talent deals come together. It's different in my way of thinking, how you would do something like that for such a big event. But the truth is there's a dance they do around what talent they can book and when, and trying to figure out where they are, like groups like AEG are looking at talent across the country and where they're gonna put them, how they're gonna mix them. And it's not a last minute decision, but it feels a little bit like a last minute decision from our perspective. With anything under, 6 months feels like last minute to us.
The only thing I'll mention is that we did receive our final AR payment from SSA. So they fully paid the $6 million from 2024 signing bonus. So we have all that cash now, which is great.
There it is right there.
This actually was presented during our staff meeting yesterday, so I thought it was timely.
Oh, good, thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to, I'm trying to get it perfectly to fit.
Mhm.
Easier said than done. Let's see.
Want me to take a picture of it with my phone and I can text everybody?
Maybe easier. Okay, here we go. I think that's as big as we can get it. So a lot of diversity for sure in the types of events and organizations we're contracting with. Gives a snapshot. Thanks.
Now, this is 25, right? So this is yards and SYC, none of that's LVC.
But that will serve as a really great baseline, right? You know,
Yeah.
moving on, and then you're just gonna start to see.
And we expect this component of our business to stay and slowly grow, right? I think we are, I'll never say we've maxed out SYC, and certainly haven't maxed out the arts. But SYC is close. We're kind of seeing what, we're not, that SYC business is not gonna double for the next 3 years. We may see a 10 or 15% annual increase there.
Deidre, raise your hand.
Just a quick question. I'm curious about the community slice of the pie. Is that of and by the community, or is that just something you invite the community to? It's great either way. I'm just curious.
It's both.
Hmm.
It's everything from Armando Pion's, mortgage education, homeownership seminars that, you know, that's his content, his group that comes, does an event here, to our Saturday marketplace on the market on the river events. To events that community rents the space and does an event. It's kind of a little bit of everything.
Good deal. Cole, anything else to add?
Nope.
All righty. Jess? She around, or we want to table her for a minute?
I think she's gonna wait until executive session.
Okay,
She's here, she's online and upstairs, but I think we're just gonna wait to have her in the room
Yeah,
until
okay.
executive session.
And the committee report is in the packet.
and Ernest, glad to see you on screen. How are you doing, sir?
Good, Your Excellency. Great to see everyone.
Glad to see somebody was paying attention. Anything to add on your side of the fence, Ernest?
No, other than what's in the packet, the only thing I wanted to add was, and I've talked to Brad about this and some of the other folks, but one thing that's not in our committee update is that there's a fall tribal convening with the city of Denver that's happening next week, September 24th through the 26th. Actually, on the 26th, I'll be presenting there at CSU Hydro. This is the second annual convening that the city of Denver has done to outreach with different tribal nations. There'll be, I think last year there was over a dozen. I'm expecting that, if not more. And I just wanted to thank CSU for always being a great supporter, and then obviously the National Western Center Authority team of just trying to help out, provide meeting space for this group. So we'll have a lot of tribal leaders there within the community, and hope to be able to also pass out information on what we're doing there at the National Western Center complex. So just wanted to provide that, and I can follow up with others who will be getting ready for next week. Thanks again.
Thanks for that, Ernest. Can I ask what I hope is an intentionally provocative question? Land acknowledgement. We open our board meetings with that. You got any advice? Are you probably equipped to deal with that? Because you have to deal with it every day. We do at CU as well. Where should we be with that as a board or member of the community or member of whatever group we are a member of?
Well, as good question. As folks might remember, we were working on what the city council was working on and what the city council provides before their meetings. We're also doing our own tribal outreach and efforts, and we actually wanted to craft one that's unique to what National Western Center Authority is doing. And so those conversations are still being moved forward. In my personal opinion, I think in talking and working with tribes across the country, oftentimes folks want to see what what the programs and outreach looks like more so than acknowledging a history is one thing, but acknowledging where we're moving and moving beyond acknowledgements is even more important. And so one of these things is obviously our outreach to that's been ongoing, and we'll be setting up meetings prior to the opening of the National Western next year, which is, I think we're all excited for, but also the possibility for like the Denver March Powwow, which is the second largest in the country, is in Albuquerque, and they just announced a couple weeks ago that they'll be shutting down in at the end of 2026. This is going to be pretty interesting, given what we're trying to do there on the campus. But the whole point of I say all this is that that's the work that goes into not just the acknowledgement, but how are we building partnerships? And I know staff has been having conversations with other community, American Indian community reps. So we hope to bring what that looks like and a path forward to the board here soon after we get these conversations moving forward. That's long-winded answer to your question. It's unfortunately, I think it's not as easy as just putting out their language. In my opinion, I'd love for it to point to the actual efforts that our group is doing and staff is doing to better those engagements.
Great, thank you.
Ernest, is the shutting down the powwow in Albuquerque a financial decision?
I'm not sure. I've been wanting to get some more information about that, and I'd love to circle back with you and others, because there's also a greater interest of bringing in a National Indian Finals Rodeo sanctioned event back to Denver. Denver used to host one years ago.
Right.
I think, that kind of conversation, but then all I know is that they have put this press release out about a month ago, and we're actually in the process of trying to reach out to which would make, that's the largest. That was a Gathering of Nations in Albuquerque. The second largest is the Denver March Powwow that we have in Denver, that the Denver Host Committee does in March. And so that's a good question. I'm trying to find out more information about.
Yeah, let's keep apprised.
Yep.
Thanks, Ernest. Anybody else? Question? Jenna?
Yeah, really excited to have a couple of special guests here with us this morning. As many of you know, we ran our first ever marketing and media campaign this year. It began in April. And is expected to conclude the 1st of October. So we have some really great results that we'd like to share with you all this morning. So I have invited kind of an extension of my team here this morning. Drew Demoto is here with Demoto Brands. He and his team really truly are an extension of us. They have helped us every step of the way with this campaign, anything from the creative to art specs and deadlines, and just keeping us organized and strategic in it all. So we're really happy to have them here. And then Sarah and Mindy are both here from Explore Media. They are our media buyers. So they've really acted as our liaison kind of between us and the actual media platforms themselves. So they're the ones negotiating the costs and the timing and all of the details of the actual media buys themselves, which, as you can imagine, can be a full-time job in and of itself. So we were really grateful to have them on board. I think with the combination of our three teams, it was just a really seamless process that we had this year. I am so pleasantly surprised with how well all of this went. And we are getting some really good return on our investment, which they'll speak more to. So with that, I'll turn it over to Sarah.
Thanks. So I'm Sarah. I am the media director at Explore Communications. Like Jenna said, we are a media planning and buying agency based out of Denver. We have been in business for over 29 years, specializing in just this and partnering with different companies across Denver and across the nation, really. So I'm going to present to you today some of the results we have from the campaign Jenna just mentioned. But before we dive in, I kind of wanted to zoom out a little bit and just kind of lay the groundwork of what this campaign was. So we were brought in to run a campaign that we intended to bring awareness to the revived National Western Center. So we wanted to make sure that we were reaching people who work around here so that they could understand everything that it has to offer, and not just a stock show, right? I think that was one of our biggest challenges, is there's so much more here, and there's going to be so much more here. So from that standpoint, with our media campaign, our real goal was to generate awareness. So that means reach as many people as possible to let them know that they should come and learn more. And from a conversion standpoint, because it's awareness, we were really tracking people to the website. We wanted to get them there so they could learn more. So if you go to the next slide, I put this one together just because this is an awareness campaign. So you'll see a lot of the media that we ran was mass media, meaning it was intended to reach a lot of people, get a lot of eyeballs. It's not traditionally as trackable as say digital, but it's a really important part of our mix because it's what helps push people down that funnel. So we have to generate that awareness, get in the consideration set. And once we do that, we then see that the digital metrics, which I'll present to you in a minute, perform 3 times better than if we didn't have those in there. So we had a really robust mix in what you're running. And I think that's part of the success of the campaign this year. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see here, these are all of the different media tactics we have running over the course of the campaign. So a lot of different touch points to reach our audience, which is really critical in building that education and frequency. So billboards and transit, hopefully you saw those out in the market. Those were kind of the foundational elements of our plan, like blasting the message out across the Denver metro area. We had some television included, connected TV. So these are where you're watching like Yellowstone or Hulu. Our ads were being targeted to people who are watching those. We had radio spots running. We had some ads in 5280 magazine, which is a huge credibility builder. And then we had our digital tactics. So again, these were intended to help when people are aware of National Western, they see our digital ads, they click through and they go to learn more. And so I'll talk through the metrics that we received from those in a second. But just a reminder, these were some of the cool creative versions that Drew put out for us that really popped. We saw them around and got a lot of feedback from them personally, but I think they did a really great job of branding the new National Western Center in the market. Any questions on that? Yeah, so this is an overall summary for the whole campaign. So this includes the traditional media, mass media, and the digital. We delivered over 32 million impressions in the Denver metro area. 25 million of those came from our mass media and 6.8 million of that came from our digital. Through this campaign, we can see we drove over 78,000 visits to the website, which is incredible. So those are views that we can track directly back to the campaign that we were running. And then from a digital standpoint, we always like to track our success against what we see as an agency internally, so clicks or impressions, and what our partners are seeing on a national level. So those are the benchmarks we're comparing them to. As you'll see, these digital components exceeded benchmarks across the board. So again, huge successes from that standpoint. This is a slide that we included. So this is from the Google Analytics for National Western Center. Like I said, a lot of mass media tactics aren't clickable, obviously. So one way we can see if those are helping, drive interest in the market is if we're seeing a big spike in website activity. So people are seeing the National Western brand. Are they then going to the website to learn more? And as you can see here in April, when our media started, we had a huge spike. So the website traffic went up significantly. So that does indicate people were seeing it. They're coming to the site to learn more, even beyond the digital ads we were serving. And then you can also see there's a big spike kind of right there in the middle. And that was in July when we had the transit media start. So again, I think these big bursts of interest came with those big bursts of mass media. So really exciting to see that play out here. And then in terms of the digital tactics we had running, so we had connected TV and streaming audio were podcasts. We had some high impact display units. And I'll talk about each of these in a little more detail in a minute. Geofence mobile and then Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram. Like I said before, across all of these tactics, we delivered over 6.8 million impressions and drove a ton of clicks to the website for a click-through rate of 1.19%.
Do you have any idea what we spent website?
I don't have that in here, but we can see that for GA4. So we can see bounce rate, time spent in pages that they go through. So we can dig into that and follow back up with that.
And just one additional note to that, we saw about a 300% growth in our followers on Meta, so both Facebook and Instagram since we launched this campaign. So it's not only are people clicking through, but they're interested in following along with what we're working on, which is exciting.
So this is an overview of the streaming audio and streaming video. So again, these are not clickable. So really the intention here is again targeted awareness. So we go in We identify, you know, the key counties and zip codes, people who are interested in events and the, people who might have come to the stock show before, and then we serve ads to them on the big TV screen and as they're listening to podcasts. So these two tactics alone help deliver over 1.4 million impressions in the market, so providing really strong reach. The next slide has our high impact display. So these were really cool units. We didn't want to run just standard units, you know, the boxes you would see if you're on shoes.com. These are really interactive. We wanted people to see how much there is to offer at the center. So you can see kind of examples at the bottom, but if you had it up on your phone, that first screen would pop up and then you could scroll through to different aspects of the center. So really showing how dynamic it's become. And here you can see that we had just under 1 million impressions and over 7,000 clicks to the website, which has a click-through rate of over 1%. Their benchmark is a 0.08. So again, we exceeded our expectations there, generating a ton of engagement and visits to the National Western Center landing page. And then we have geofence mobile. So this is a really cool tactic where we can actually go in and geofence specific areas. So we can geofence the National Western Stock Show and retarget people who had visited there in the past. We can geofence Ball Arena, different event centers throughout Denver, and capture people's devices that walk in and then retarget them with our ads on their devices. So it's a really, really interesting way for us to capture those interested audiences beyond just the behaviors that we're seeing online. So here, this tactic alone delivered over 2 million impressions. We got over 3,500 clicks to the website. That gave us a click-through rate of 0.16, which is double the benchmark again. So doing way better than we had hoped. And then we were able to track which audiences really performed best. And so here, there were two that really popped to the top. The first were behavioral. So these were people who showed interest in live events, different things throughout the community that they wanted to be involved in. And the second was their location based. So this is if they had visited Ball Arena or different events throughout Denver. We were even able to what we call geo farms. We were able to capture the devices of people who were at the stock show last year and retarget them. And put in front of them that there's more to offer here than just the stock show, so we could bring them back. And that one did incredibly well with a 0.26% click-through rate.
Can you call it Geo Ranch?
Geo Ranch, yeah.
You're in conflict, read the room.
I know, I'm sorry, next time. You wrangled them in. Geo Lasso.
Sensitive in the ranching business.
So anyways, really strong results, really fun tactic that we hope to expand on in the future, especially as you guys bring in more events, to help drive people too. And this is just an example of what that creative looked like when it was served to people. And then we had Meta. So Meta was our social platform of choice. It's because it contains both Facebook and Instagram. So Facebook helps us reach kind of the older audience segments. Instagram helps us reach the younger. And so here you can see it delivered over 2.7 million impressions. This had an incredible click-through rate of 2.5%. Our benchmark is under a 1%. So we were almost 3 times what we typically see as an agency and nationally. And recently we rotated in some video assets into Meta. So these are little snippets of them down here. And those did incredibly well. We tracked over 10% in terms of click-through rate with the video asset. So again, super engaging. And again, these are all learnings that we will take next year, right? So increasing more video assets, I think will be critical because it does so well with audience growth. And these were some of the examples of the static ads that we have running too. So again, I think one of the reasons this campaign was so successful was the cohesion between all of the different tactics. You know, this creative matched what people were seeing on the billboards out there. So when they were served the ads, they were already familiar, they were already interested, they were more inclined to click and learn more. And I think that's why these click-through rates are so awesome. So we've just loved working with Jenna and her team and being a part of this project. So thank you for letting me share the successes so far, and we hope to continue to grow with you guys. It's a pleasure and an honor.
Kelly, do you have a question?
Yeah, I'm just curious, obviously, as we build awareness, and always can on sort of here, are we winding down the use of the term National Western Complex?
It'll be National Western Center.
Yeah, I
Because
think,
obviously,
I
the
think
National
that's,
Western Complex has been a term that has been used.
sure,
for the
that's
center.
definitely the ultimate goal. I think this, as Sarah mentioned, was really kind of our phase 1
Right.
in.
I just,
This
I
campaign.
wanna make sure we're not creating brand confusion.
Right.
Right,
On February 1st, 2027.
31st, after stock show.
January
February 1.
February 1.
2027. The National Western Complex will cease to exist. We'll take over the hill and it will become it will be branded as the National Western Center. But I think we're not gonna disappear that, we can't.
And that's not the question, the question is just as we really need to invest in all this messaging, right? And there's plenty of brand confusion on everything,
Yes.
so to the extent there's a plan. it
Yeah.
sounds like
Yeah,
there
yeah,
is.
I think you hit the nail on the head though, Kelly. I think what we were really aiming to do this year is get our brand established so that we can kind of then switch gears in 2027 when we take over the hill and people are already familiar, like, oh, I went to a concert there. Oh, I've seen the ads for festivals and other things that they have there. I think right now, if you were to show, or before we ran this campaign, if you were to show them the National Western Center logo, 9 out of 10 people would have no clue what that is. Even when we're out in public, people are like, you work at the stock show, right? And we're like, yes, and like, we're also doing a lot of other things. So this year was really just about establishing our brand and getting it out there. And as Sarah mentioned, getting the eyeballs on it.
Yeah, when I mentioned complex, it was only to reference the stock show. We never refer to it as the complex. It's always the National Western Center. That's all the messaging internally. That's how we refer to it too. So just to differentiate between like, you know, ballerina, we were truly going in that, you know, stock show. But, and I think Drew, you know. you've been working hard.
Yeah, Drew, do you want to kind of talk about phase 2 and kind of what we're looking at?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of a stand. Drew Demoto with Demoto. Pleasure to be here with you this morning. As you can see, it's hard to believe that this kind of phase 1 is now ramping down, but as this ramps down, we start the discussion in our kind of strategic planning around phase 2. And as you can see from what Sarah presented, our goal is to continue to build on the momentum that we've established. And I think these metrics and what we've seen really tells the story of the type of impact, the creative, and putting the creative in the best places that meet our audiences where they are, and thinking about how someone can engage with the brand from the point that they leave their home or are waking up in the morning and looking at their phone, driving to work, being at work, maybe listening to podcasts, driving home, streaming media, you know, all of these kind of interconnected touch points, I think have really shown a lot of value. As we look into phase 2, you know, obviously we want to keep to that point, establishing, deepening, making people more familiar with the brand. The words National Western Center, hearing that, seeing the logo, understanding the benefits and the programming, knowing that this campus exists, and within this campus, there are a lot of different things for people to experience and see, and also showing people, and I think this is where the video really was very helpful, how these places and the spaces can be activated and showing what that looks like. So I think we've got a lot of opportunities ahead of us in phase 2. And certainly, you know, we're very excited for what that can bring. Any other questions?
What kind of confusion are you seeing between National Western Center and National Western Stock Show? I mean, there's gotta be, I mean, we have a 120-year-old brand, National Western, but we're 16 days, but how is that for people acclimating or understanding what the distinction is, or how's that?
Well, this is what makes this opportunity so unique. And I think you hit it right on the head, which is that there is a deep well of previously established brand equity around the words National Western. Right? And the differentiator is stock show or complex center. And so for us, there's a couple of assumptions. One, we know that we need to, in some ways, reframe, especially with folks that have been in Colorado for a long time or are native to Colorado. We've known of the National Western Center brand as it relates to the complex and the stock show. And we need to build understanding that National Western Center is something that is a campus where these exist. And for new people, because Colorado has grown dramatically and a lot of people are fairly new to this community, we need to introduce National Western Center in a very strong way that establishes their understanding from the start of what this place is and what they can experience here. And that's a very unique challenge because I would say that that's pretty rare. That, you know, you're dealing with entities that share parts that are similar within their name. And we're also introducing something that kind of overarches this programming. And so I think one of the indicators that we see that's great is, first off, we're seeing a lot of people going to the website so that if they are confused, they're accessing information to help clarify their understanding of what National Western Center is. The other piece of this is, I think, you know, when we see a lot of these very successful metrics, a lot of the media is very rich. It's, you know, animated, it's video, and that's helping to also tell the story of this is the center, this is the campus, and there's also these very unique entities that live within this. And we'll continue to help those audience members to understand that.
Either to add confusion or bring clarity, we're going to come out in November with a marketing campaign, We Are the West. So it'll be loading in the month of November leading up to stock show. So it's gonna be a very, very defined and kind of a We Are the West kind of approach to the National Western. 120 years, this is our anniversary of the years going. So maybe it's more clarity, I hope, than confusion. I think we're gonna get this.
And I think, you know, this year, like Jenna said, it's phase one, we're like planting the seed. I think as more events come in and we have more of that to talk about, it'll be seen as more of a center. You know, because right now we're kind of talking about it in this abstract. We know there's all these phenomenal places that are going to be hosting all of these things, but once we can start promoting those, I think it's going to take it to the next level and start to eliminate that confusion. Like it's going to be its thing, not just the event of the stock show comes here. I think that's it.
I think, you know, early on, when we really didn't have any events happening here, and folks would naturally leave with, oh, that's CSU Spur. I mean, as Spur came on and had their really large marketing campaign, or that's the stock show. And I think at first we were trying to like we were almost defensive, yeah, and you know, and the National Western Center, right? But it was pointless. It is CSU Spur, it is the stock show. And right, and so as things, or I think that a lot of this is gonna happen organically. Yes, we need to get some of these words and the names of those out there. But this is where I see it going, is rising tide lifting all boats. Both in terms of letting the National Western Center ride the coattails of CSU Spur and the stock show, which we do often, anytime we can. CSU does a good job of, where appropriate, putting CSU Spur at the National Western Center. Sometimes that's super helpful to us. If there are places for the stock show to do that, that's super helpful to like provide some context for people. However, where I think these efforts can go is that as National Western Center awareness raises, we should be bringing new customers to CSU Spur, new visitors to CSU Spur and the stock show. That's what success looks like to me. This whole greater than the sum of its parts. That's where this whole thing started from, right? Is how do we go from 16 days of revenue and 365 days of expenses to this year-round destination around the future of food and agriculture and data and education. So
There's a lot of cross pollination.
yeah, I just don't think, I just over the years have become zero defensive about it and more inclusive about all of it. This isn't about how we define the turf of the National Western Center. It isn't. It's a landscape upon which all of this amazing experience and exchange and interaction happens. And to your original point, Drew, you know, the gift of the National Western brand equity has been incredible for us. I don't care if they confuse us with stock show, just come. Just show up and buy beer and food and buy a ticket, go see a rodeo, go see a concert, whatever it is. I don't care what you call us, as long as you show up.
Well, you know, it's an iconic brand.
Yeah.
120 years, it didn't just happen. It was a lot of work behind it. So we need to capitalize on it.
Yeah.
What was the overall budget for this marketing campaign?
We were at about 350,000.
Most being the ad spend.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right,
we, you
right.
know, there was TV, streaming TV ads, there was a whole Hulu and thing,
And Denver's a big, you know, it's number 17 market in the country, so it's expensive. But we thought we got a lot. for that, so.
Right, if I can, just as a, you know, as a third generation Colorado, I mean, to Doug's point, and everybody's point, I mean, I think this authentic, if we can weave this complex authentic story about Colorado's land grant institution and the 120 years of the stock show was a series of storytelling, right? I mean, I think people are naturally gravitating towards authentic stories in this day and age. So we have such a unique change. You guys are laying the groundwork for that, so I'm excited.
Doug, is your board worried that we dilute the value of 120 years of legacy?
No, I think we're defining it more clearly with our new building, the legacy. Defining, you know, we still have our extraordinary 16 days. So no, I think we see that all boats rise and we're gonna celebrate that history. We're all about the values, the spirit, for you know, Western heritage, and we're gonna celebrate that, and that's just kind of part of what we're all doing. And then we're fortunate to kind of capitalize on the halo effect of Yellowstone and these other Western shows that we, you know, seize the day and educate.
Anybody have any questions for Sarah, Drew, or anybody else? Oops, sorry.
So with all this marketing and everything, how you marketing in the community in these three neighborhoods? We know a lot, most of these neighborhoods are Spanish speakers too. Are you doing bilingual? What are you doing to also bring that information into it? Because even the local community, they don't even know the difference. Everyone knows is the statue, that's it. They don't know about the National Western Center. They don't even know that there's CSU, so, and that's something that I keep saying that we need to bring more community into these events. I don't see much, community, and I know there's been effort on doing marketing, but I feel that it's not enough, and maybe not everyone's gonna come in anyways because of the still trust issues that this local community has. But if we want it, and since I became a member, I keep saying we need to get that relationship with the community. Because they're the ones, or we're the ones, because I live here also, that can be benefit or affected about, with all these new developments and everything. And I know I always hear, oh, we're doing great this, we're doing great that, but it's just on this development. But what about the local community that is living here 24/7? How are we also bringing all this information to the local community? And how we bringing the community here, not going to the community, not bringing also the community, but sometimes we're expecting the community to come here. Well, we haven't even gone there to the community, so I think there's a lot of work to do also on the local community part.
So part of the geofencing approach was specific to a radius around the National Western Center, specifically to reach the people who live around here. And knowing that the Hispanic audience is critical. We also had Spanish language radio running to reach them and message them directly about the National Western Center. So those were two tactics that we had implemented that were directly trying to pull that audience group in. And so again, with this budget, you know, we were hoping with the billboards that we had nearby, knowing, you know, a lot of the community is bilingual and prefers, you know, some of those messaging to come in English. We didn't have a lot of bilingual messaging, but that's something else we could look at moving forward, but we did have those two distinct tactics laid in for that reason. And we also know Meta, like we can also in the future utilize Meta, and target just Spanish speakers that way. We know that's a top platform for them. YouTube's another opportunity. So we do a lot of multicultural marketing, and with this budget, those were the two approaches we took: Hispanic radio and geofencing this local area. So
I would
it is top of
also,
mind.
yeah, I would just also add, our tactics for GES are just different. They just look different, you know, I think, you know, we have Lori on board. We've been doing a lot of canvassing, surveys, you know, we've been doing a lot of different tactics in GES that we aren't doing in the broader Denver metro area, for example. And those efforts are to bring people to campus. Lori's actually going to present next on a lot of different community-based events that we're going to be hosting and programming here specifically to draw GES to us and create this, you know, kind of holistic and welcoming environment for everyone. But I think just our tactics look different because it's a different audience. And we found success in things like canvassing, going door to door, talking to them directly, or text messaging them because they don't often, you know, see emails. They don't often use emails, or sometimes are not on social media and things like that. So I think our efforts in GES are much broader than what this campaign entails. And I think that's been very intentionally that way historically and will continue forward. But this is kind of like that next ripple. We always use this analogy of kind of throwing a rock in a lake. Our first initial ripple is kind of the GES community, and we have worked since 2018 really hard to kind of infiltrate that community and be part of the community and welcome that community to the center. This was kind of our effort in stepping outside of that ripple, but in addition to that ripple, to the second one that is more Denver metro wide, to really get people more, you know, clarity on who we are and what we're doing, that we are the historic stock show, but in addition to that, we're doing lots of other things year round. So I would say we certainly are doing that, Sandra.
Yeah, and I know you're
It's
doing it,
different.
I'm not saying that.
No, I
I
just wanted you to know.
I've been here for already many years and I've seen all the hard work that you're doing, but also I would like to see more involvement in the community, not expecting the community to come into the campuses, but also we're going over there and not just by canvassing or sending just flyers. I can ensure we can do events in the community, not expect them to come here. We need to create that relationship or that connection first, rather than expecting them to come to.
I would really like to sit down with you and Lori and Jenna and talk about that. We've had a lot of conversations about that. And I'll say for me, I've had mixed, I'm not sure that is the right strategy for us. That we have tried a little bit of that and seen a lot of resistance out in community of why, you know, are you trying to now take over our neighborhood? Like versus being a place where they're welcome and there are resources. I hear you, and I think that's a big question about.
And like I mentioned before, one group doesn't represent our whole community. And I know the resistance of these three communities, and we had that issue, even us community leaders with the same resistance. And that doesn't define us as three neighborhoods. 1, 2 groups that always resisting on everything that you guys do. It doesn't represent us. And that's why I keep saying, if you do something in the community, you're gonna see that, not the community, not the residents are gonna have that resistance, because I know. But again, I'm not saying, just because of everything I heard, all the things that you guys are doing and everything, I know there's already a lot of work doing, you guys doing it in the community, but I was just more focused on this part, like the big branding and everything, how also we're also going into these local communities, and showing them that this is a national weapons center, and now with the staff show. I'm not saying have something against the staff, but I love the staff show, and I think they have a history here in the community, and we have to also acknowledge the staff show, but also how we can have that relationship with the community and CSU and the National Western Planner and the Stack Show and start growing that community. I know there's resistance and but we also have to acknowledge that there's 3 neighborhoods with thousands of residents that don't have that resistance. They just don't know about it because with all these different divisions that we have in our community. That's something I just wanna mention. And about canvassing and knocking doors, right now it's hard also when we have a target on our backs. And because most of us are Hispanic, Mexican in this neighborhood, so I know it's a challenge now to be able to but that was just.
Paid media, more, greater emphasis with paid media might be a good avenue. You know, where we're speaking to the Hispanic community directly, you know, with bilingual ads or whatever. I think that could be a good way not to be offensive or, you know, any sort of concern.
And I think that's a great point and something that we discussed in kind of the conceptualization of our campaign too, were, you know, some of the concerns that you mentioned around the community and, you know, having feeling like there's a target on your back, and what does that mean in terms of like responding to or subscribing to our option, so things like that, being a concern. The other piece to this, I think, and we've really, this is a little bit less on the advertising part, more on the brand development part, is making a very strong attempt to document, capture, and video events where National Western Center is the venue for programming that offers community impacting, community benefit. And I think one of the value pieces to that is that we're kind of trying to minimize the barrier or any sort of apprehension for the community that isn't invited here. And so some of the events that we attended and that we videoed had kind of a direct benefit to the community, and the community was seen in that content, which I think is very important. And so, you know, again, this is continual evolution, continual building of the brand, and then making sure that that brand is representative of its stakeholders and audiences. So it's something that we're always thinking about.
Have you thought about doing, or if you have a TikTok page or an Instagram page? I know a lot of people now uses those social media, doing like short videos of what is the National Western Center, what is the CSU, what is the Stack Show, and just someone talking about it. It doesn't have to be like a big video and everything, but just like short videos and making different videos. Probably in a week, you have a bunch of videos, then you have more views, then you have more people interested in what is the National Western, even if it's in Spanish or English. I mean, now a lot of people uses TikTok and Instagram.
We do,
Those short
we
videos.
have both TikTok and Instagram. We did some of our targeting ads on Instagram. TikTok, we're just kind of waiting for our following to kind of catch up. I think we only have like 50 followers on TikTok, but
So make sure it doesn't get banned again, right?
Yeah,
We've been hesitant with that one for a little while, but again, I think these are all great points that, you know, as we evolve these campaigns, those are things we'll want to take into account and add it, because I do think those are easy ways for us to get in front of that audience where they're spending time, like Drew said, that's our whole point, right? Find the right person at the right time and get them to engage, especially the community surrounding here. So we can take that into account as we plan for lots of options.
Yeah, and I think
Thank you.
what Sandra's been consistent about throughout is like not just being spoken to and here's your package with a nice bow around it, this is what you're gonna have in your community, but being part of the process that gets to activation, articulation, definition, or whatever the program's gonna be, whether it's marketing or anything else to do with the community. On that happy segue.
Yeah.
Let's go to the community, your report real quick. and then-
thank you, Drew and Karen.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lori. I do community events and outreach. And today I'm reporting on kind of our goal and what we've done in 2025 so far. So many of you have seen this slide before, and it's how we show up for our community by creating, advocating, participating, and partnering, providing, and innovating. So, get the next slide. And so, in addition to all of this, we have really focused in 2025 on how we can provide this new approach and having core events and core engagement through these series of events. So we're going to go through the events and how we're really going to focus moving forward on having these events and really showing up for the community and being that champion. As you know, Stock Show, we provide over 250 community tickets. So it takes away that financial burden of some families that live in the GS neighborhood for them to attend with their families. We also partner with 2 schools in GS to have them come and be part of the parade. It's wonderful. I got to be a part of it last year. And then we also do a reception and rodeo, which is very important for our community because everybody that shows up to our meetings, that are part of the conversation, part of the solutions that we are working towards is attending that monthly. They're really vocal and they come with ideas and questions, and it's a time for us all to come together and us to have that transparency. So that's how we provide in the Stock Show. So that's a core event that's been going on for quite some time, not 120 years, but it has been going on for quite some time. Right, and then we've got the next one. So Market at the Center was started in this year. And it provided a free space for local vendors and GES to come and sell their items, sell their food. We were so lucky that Sandra was one of the individuals that was able to sell her food, and she was spotlighted for our last Market at the Center. We partner with CSU Spurs Second Saturday and really engage the outside of the community, as well as partnering with UCAN. They were our live music, and partnering with some the music lab with CSU Spur to bring music and entertainment to our community. As you know, We Don't Waste, they started that partnership in 2025. They continue to show up the first Friday, and we're going to continue to have that partnership. And to date, we have served over 5,000 individuals and over 3 million servings of food. I mean, it's amazing. And all of that food is not recycled, but it's saved from the landfill and being wasted. So we're really grateful for that partnership. And we've really saw an increase of having our community and GES attend those We Don't Waste. Denver Days. So that was this was one of our first events. We had over 124 community vendors that showed up, provided resources from flu shots, haircuts, backpacks, resources for the community to really be supported throughout the school year. It was wonderful. We just had so many different partners that really showed up for their kids, the families, and just really provide a great activation for that day. Our goal is to have this as a continued core event on campus every year. We were able to serve, I think we've heard the number just increase the more we're getting reports, but it was over 6,000 people on campus. It was the first time we had activated the streets, and just wonderful. We had just a great outcome, and I can't even put a financial cost on how much we provided to the city, but with that partnership, it really was a great thing to offer. Trunk or Treat. So we have come together and we have Trunk or Treat at the Stockyard Event Center. And it was really in collaboration prior to me being here to provide a safe space and a place where people could come in all 3 communities to have one local space to go and be able to go to each station, celebrate. There's going to be sensory. We're going to have, education, as well as just going trunk to trunk and having some activation. This coming Trunk or Treat will be on October 31st. I welcome all of you to decorate a trunk, come be part of the day. We are getting a lot of traction, so I'm hoping this year will be bigger and better. Earth Day, we had that earlier this year, and we really are focusing on the sustainability component on campus. So it's really educating the more we have things on campus. We've got Compost Colorado that is now on campus, and they have worked with us with the We Don't Waste. So the first time they are going to be giving away free compost is at the We Don't Waste event. And so they've been working really, really hard to make sure that they are advertising it and communicating with all the community vendors to really provide that free compost and kind of give back to the community at no cost. March powwow, this year we were able to support, I want to say 75 individuals to go to the March powwow. Again, it takes away that financial burden for people in our community to really be activated and see the spaces and the cultural events and engagement at these events, and just to really be part of the experience and part of the activations that are on campus. And then we've got creating jobs. This one I will have to look at because my eyes are not as great as they used to be, but we've roughly created over 300 jobs in 2025. In total, roughly 1,500 jobs have been created as part of the authority's procurement process, which is amazing. Between January and July, we've roughly 43% of all operation dollars were spent with local, small, disadvantaged, minority-owned and businesses, and nearly 1 million has been spent with those from that group in 2025. It's a great opportunity, and I know that they have, the community is really involved in the procurement process, so that really does help engage the community and help engage businesses in the community to really participate in that procurement process. For the Community Investment Fund, to date, we have provided over $700,000. This year, it was anticipated to only have
23,000 was the budget, we went 196.
Yeah, so we exceeded that cost, and this year we are at 196,000 that we were able to contribute. And everything is going well, and I think when we have our community benefits committee meeting, it's always talking about ways to increase that number. And some of the ways that we do kind of show up for the community is having those monthly CAC meetings. We talk about subjects. If we have individuals that are coming to the space where it's sidewalks and lights, our goal is to then try to find some answers or some conversation around those topics. It's continued, and every month it's something different. So, but we meet monthly, and I feel like it's a really great activation, and I feel like we've increased activation at CAC. Equestrian Center Task Force, that has been, this will be our third month in October that it has been its own separate meeting. Everybody comes together. We've got a great layout from Steve. And then CBC, that's where we come together as the Community Benefits Committee and talk about like the framework as well as ways to work on collaboration and communication. And then other ways that we do show up, and I wanted to put that, and I'm not sure why I didn't put it there, but we do have a monthly newsletter that goes out every month, and it is in English and in Spanish. We try to have previous updates, we have upcoming events for community, as well as any kind of ways of activating and being part of any events that are coming up. And then we also have a text platform that goes out in English and in Spanish for community events and community activations. With that text platform, we've actually been able to give out over 1,000 tickets to community members for free at no cost. Again, it's part of our commitment to making sure we are taking away that financial burden for them to attend and be part of community events. I've never talked so fast. I'm so excited. Usually I go rogue in the middle. Thank you. Thank you.
A lot of stuff. Anybody have any questions for Lori? What?
My turn. All right, very good. Well, thanks. Sorry I was late. I was, actually Joe and Amy Parsons and I were in a meeting with, people that have investable net worth of over 20 million.
Wow.
So, Doug asked me how many of them were investing in the equestrian system. But that is, so I appreciate the opportunity to be a little late, Steve. And so, but, for us, I think, you just heard the conversations about, the National Western Center campaigns and those kind of things. And we are rolling out slowly, and we'll really hit more in October with our We Are the West campaign. a new look, a new feel for us and what we're doing. And so I'm gonna spend a little time talking about those things. Jenny, can go to the next slide, it's fine with me. And so 2024, fall of 2024, right, Doug, is when we started through this process, working very closely with Monocle, our marketing firm, in developing really what fit our mission, and the mission of defining the West and being the center for Western heritage and the spirit of the West and all those kind of things. But ultimately, it's not just we, the stock show, it's we, all of us, right? We want you to find your own West, and we want to help you have an opportunity to do that right here on campus. And so excited about the fact that our arrow points to the west always. So as you see that, it makes it a little more difficult to tell people to turn right to go in the building, but we're working through those things. No, it's wonderful. It is bold, right? It is a bold red arrow. It talks about what we are in our spirit and our history and heritage and all those kind of things. And so I really just wanted to just let you know that that's coming, and it will come more in depth as we move forward with you're going to see this awareness campaign of the legacy building that's happening in conjunction with all of the same look and feel with what we're doing for Stock Show in January. And so I think that the great thing is that, you know, in the Field of Dreams kind of theme, if you build it, they will come. So as a group, collectively, I'm an infant in this group. And so, but I will tell you, based on what we are seeing, if you build it, they will come. And so when I talk about ticket sales for the 26 Stock Show, we normally first day, about 2,500 rodeo tickets we sell. We sold over 6,500 the first day. That is not slowing down. Remember, that's still across the street, right? But it's about what's happening on this side of I-70 and the things that people are seeing and the engagement that y'all are having from a or we are having from a standpoint of a center, but also then those excitement around the Stock Show and the new buildings and the new livestock things. And, you know, we get to do some fun new things because of the Livestock Center. Edutainment, if you will, of what we do, that level of kiddo about this tall. And the barns are going to be expanded. Those things that were on third floor are moving to the barns downstairs, and we have a completely expanded opportunity to work with CSU and all of the fun things we were doing down there, from the petting zoo, 2 sets of pony rides, you know, a lot more interaction there with agriculture and the things that are our heritage and history. There'll be a Rodeo 101, which is a brand new exhibit this year, and teaching about rodeo and the safety things that we have for the animal athletes, right? And what we do and how we take care of them, because they are our partners in that. And so we're excited about those things and what's happening there in the barns. And certainly that excitement continues. And I do have to put on my glasses as well, Lori, to be able to see this. I want to share some numbers with you, and none of this will may or may not make sense to you, but when we look at where we are today compared to last year on livestock show entries, and primarily that is buying DNA kits, right? You have to guarantee you own that animal. There's integrity in what we do at Stock Show. And so you have to submit a DNA kit that identifies the animal, just like a DNA kit would do for any of us in here. And then when you get to Stock Show, if you win, we test that DNA to make sure that animal is yours. And so integrity is a big deal in the Stock Show world, and National Western has forever been a leader in that. Our residue avoidance programs are making sure we have wholesome food products, wholesome meats going into the industry. That started right here in the early 90s. So there's a lot of history there and a lot of things that we do, but as examples, goats. So kiddos show goats, partner with their goat, right? And they come here to be a part of the sale. Last year on the 17th, so as of yesterday, last year we had 184 DNA kits ordered for 67 exhibitors. This year, same day, yesterday, 372 kits ordered for 108 kids. Steers, you know, everybody wants to go to Brown Palace, right? We all want to have high tea, and you want to be that kid that does that. I mean, we've got a great family from Oklahoma that won it last year. Last year at this time, 234 DNA kits ordered for 94 students. This year, 534 for 213 exhibitors. So I tell you that if you build it, they are coming as happening. And they want to come see the new livestock center. They want to come be a part of being back in Denver. The reputation, the yards, the things that we do here is the reason I came. And ultimately, one of the things that we know in Heritage and what we do is our open cattle shows. This is the stockyards, right? This was the Union Stockyards and where it existed. And the yards, we're the only place in the world, in North America, if you will, that still has yards within their stock show. Oklahoma City tried to replicate us, but they can't even touch us. And part of that is continuing to support two sides of our mission: agriculture and showing open cattle, and scholarships for students. That is a huge deal of what we do. It's why we have our scholarship trust. The Supreme Junior Heifer Drive is a chance for us to showcase both of those things. Brand new this year. Brand new, yeah. So just implemented, supported by our scholarship trust, supported by our livestock committee of our board of directors. We will take the breed champions from all 26 breeds across all of Stock Show. The last Saturday night, we'll take those kids and their animals into the rodeo and showcase agriculture and what that is. These are females, so heifers are females, for those that may not know that. The best genetics in the world will be here, and we will pick the top 5. That is, and this year will be $54,000 in prize money and scholarships. 28, that moves to 78,000, and I mean 27, it moves to 78,000, and 29, it will move to $100,000 in scholarships to those students. So it is what we're doing, and the buzz is we're all coming to Denver. So it scares us a little bit, but I moved in, I won't lie to you, right? But working on that very diligently, and we know that the staff here is gonna be great to help us do that. So any questions for me? Okay.
Beautiful. Thanks, Jerry.
Good to see you.
You too.
Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Good, and you?
Good.
And you guys have a hard time before we're at 11?
Yeah, we should be able to run through this.
Yeah, I hope to speed right through once we're into executive session.
Are we going with Jess first or Steve?
Let's go with Jess
I
first.
think, yeah.
First, we did the public comment.
This
Yes.
was-
Public comment.
Public comment?
Oh, yes. Is there any public comment?
There's actually no members of the public on right now, so I think we're safe to move forward.
Way to blow that off here a minute.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. Mark?
Yes, first we have a motion to go into executive session. Moved.
So
And do
moved.
we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Caroline. Dr. Frank, Caroline. The Board of Directors of the National Western Center Authority desires to go into executive session to conduct certain business pursuant to section 24-6-402 sub 4 B and E, to confer with counsel if necessary, and to discuss procurement matters, and to discuss negotiation of matters and instructing negotiators. The board will not and cannot by law adopt any policy position, resolution, rule, or regulation within executive session. The purpose of executive session is to discuss certain things in confidence, and we're going to be discussing some procurement matters today. It's very important that whatever is discussed in executive session remain private and confidential. This session is being recorded, and that will be maintained in the books of records and records of the National Western Center Authority for the purpose of, if there's ever an issue under the Colorado Open Records Act, to be able to, if somebody wants to review this session, they can pursuant to law. So that's the balance that we have under law by having an executive session in a public setting, public authority, and maintaining confidentiality in procurement, which is important from a market standpoint and a fairness standpoint, to have a level playing field for everybody. So as we talk about these things, please consider that, and please keep everything within executive session confidential. And this statement is being made and is required by law. Are there any questions? Mr. Vice Chair, you can.
We're now in executive session. We're out of executive session with your commentary to follow. Unless you need to say anything.
Not anymore.
Good show. Can we go ahead with the recommendations for the?
Right, well, you have 5 motions.
Right.
Rather than doing motion by motion, why don't we, unless there is a discussion or an item that some board member wants to talk about on a particular matter, let me just list them off very quickly, and we can just do one motion to approve them all.
Agreed.
That's okay with you,
Yeah.
Vice Chair? So the first motion is to approve the janitorial agreement as presented. The second is to approve the campus security agreement. The next is to approve the event and security guest relations agreement. Next is to the parking agreement. And finally is the procurement of PEO services. So a motion might be to approve all of those agreements and the procurements attended to those agreements.
So Counselor, could I, a friendly amendment?
Yes, sir.
They're actually not approving the amendments. They're approving me to negotiate the agreements for
Right.
the presented deals today or.
Yeah, I was trying to truncate based upon what was in here, out of,
Wow.
So moved with a friendly amendment.
yeah. That's
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, so that the record should reflect that each motion listed on the agenda for public purposes, which also directs the CEO to conclude all those negotiations, have been approved.
Any opposed? And just for the record, Ernest, Don, and Bill, howdy, Bill, do you have any challenge with any of this?
None for me. I vote aye.
Good show.
Yeah, Mr. Vice Chair, we have the requisite number of votes, of voting members voting above a quorum for all of these motions. So all these motions pass according to our governance.
Okay. We're done then, as far as I know. Does anybody have object to leaving? Thank you all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
You adjourned it
We're
a little bit ahead of.
Yeah.
That's how you finish ahead of
And now we'll start the next one.
Steve, you should get the credit for, we finished early. He docked to 30%, but then he finished early.